The calm surface of the sea was suddenly disrupted by a sharp sound of wind being torn apart. A crimson light streaked across the sky, closing the distance in an instant before shooting off at an astonishing speed, leaving behind a clear trail on the water below, pressed into the sea by sheer force. Boom, boom. Not long after the crimson light had shot away, deafening explosions erupted from the rear. In the next moment, over 100 streaks of blood-red light burst out of the water. One by one, ferocious blood demon sharks surfaced, their predatory gazes locked onto the crimson light as they frantically gave chase. The sudden chase transformed this previously tranquil sea into a scene of chaos and tension. "Block them for me." Commander Xia's face twisted with cold fury as he glared at the crimson light speeding off in the distance. His eyes burned with rage as he issued a low growl, laced with an intense killing intent. Their mission this time was of the utmost importance. If Mu Lingshan managed to escape and return to the immortal Sacred Whale Clan, it would undoubtedly spark a massive storm. Once that happened, even the Blood Demon Shark Clan would have a hard time dealing with the Sacred Whale Clan's wrath. No matter what, they could not let them escape. Commander Xia's expression darkened further as the thought crossed his mind. He slammed his foot down onto the blood shark beneath him, sending a surge of blood-red energy into its body. The shark's eyes instantly glowed a vivid crimson, and its speed skyrocketed, transforming it into a blood-colored arrow hurtling toward the distant crimson glow. "Spread out. Trap them." As the blood demon sharks closed in, Commander Xia issued another sharp command. The well-trained warriors of the Blood Demon Shark Clan immediately dispersed in a disciplined formation, curving into a semicircle as they chased after the crimson glow ahead. Buzz, buzz. The sudden shift in formation caught the attention of the crimson light. From within, the giant cauldron emitted a low, resonant hum. Then, in a surprising maneuver, it halted mid-air and plunged straight into the ocean below. "You fools! You dare challenge the Blood Demon Shark Clan in the water?" Commander Xia sneered coldly at the sight. The blood shark beneath him dove into the sea, and as soon as they entered the water, their speed surged once more. Over 100 water trails streaked across the ocean, chasing after the crimson glowing cauldron with even more terrifying speed. What a pain! The giant cauldron burst out of the water once again, frustration evident in its movements. Sensing the relentless pursuit closing in behind, the cauldron's glow intensified, and its speed increased sharply. "Lindong, there's a reef field at the ocean floor ahead. The terrain is complicated. Might be a good place to lose them." A voice echoed in Lindong's mind as he controlled the heaven-burning cauldron. It was Yin, offering advice. Hearing this, Lindong felt a surge of hope. These blood demon sharks were incredibly persistent. If the chase dragged on any longer, they would surely catch up. The cauldron zoomed forward, and after about 10 minutes, a vast expanse of reef clusters appeared on the ocean floor, resembling underwater mountains. Lindong's mind stirred as he swiftly maneuvered the cauldron through the jagged reef field. At a dead angle in the terrain, the giant cauldron rapidly shrank to the size of a palm and slipped into the crevice of a massive reef with a faint plop. Swish, swish. Just as the cauldron vanished into the reef, the pursuing blood demon sharks streaked past, continuing far into the distance. However, their departure was short-lived. Soon, another group of blood demon sharks circled back, led by Commander Xia himself. From the grim expressions on their faces, it was clear they had realized they had lost their target. "Search this reef area. They're hiding here somewhere." Commander Xia's furious roar echoed through the water, and the elite warriors of the Blood Demon Shark Clan immediately spread out to comb through the complex reef terrain with painstaking precision. Deep within one of the larger reefs, the palm-sized crimson cauldron slowly dimmed its glow until it blended into the surroundings, becoming indistinguishable from an ordinary red stone. All traces of its presence vanished into nothingness. "Let's hope they don't find us." Inside the hidden space of the heaven-burning cauldron, Lindong exhaled in relief and patted his hands, murmuring to himself. The number of enemies was truly overwhelming. Not only did they have a commander at the great completion of life mystique stage, but nearly 10 others had reached minor completion of the life mystique stage. Such a lineup was troublesome, even for him. Big brother, thank you for saving me. A playful voice rang out behind Lin Dong. He turned to see Mu Lingshan sitting cross-legged atop a massive black plank. The sight was odd, to say the least. Lin Dong's gaze lingered on the black plank beneath her. His eyes narrowed slightly. He could sense a terrifying energy radiating from it. It was clear that this seemingly ordinary object was, in fact, an immensely powerful, pure, primordial treasure. That's the lid of the life and death coffin. Yan's voice suddenly echoed again. The life and death coffin? The lid? Lin Dong murmured, visibly puzzled. An incredibly powerful treasure, also passed down from ancient times. In that era, it ranked among the most formidable artifacts of heaven and earth. However, what she holds is only the life and death coffin lid. Even so, it can still unleash attacks using death energy, a power comparable to that of a master at the death mystique stage, Yin explained. What an amazing treasure! Lin Dong was startled. He hadn't expected that just a coffin lid could be so powerful. No wonder it was so renowned in ancient times. But when he imagined such a petite girl swinging around this massive coffin lid, he couldn't help but find the image both amusing and absurd. He marveled to himself, then turned his gaze toward Mu Lingshan, smiling as he asked, "Are you feeling better now?" "Yeah," Mu Lingshan nodded with a smile. Her cheeks had already regained their rosy color, and the pallor from before had completely faded. Lin Dong was a bit taken aback. This little girl's recovery ability was even more astonishing than his own, despite having cultivated the sky-transforming dragon art. After all, she had just taken a direct hit from a master at the great completion of the life mystique stage. Those annoying sharks. If it weren't for the seal placed on me by their elder, none of them would have escaped today. Mu Lingshan huffed angrily. Lin Dong's eyebrow twitched. He could indeed sense a powerful and mysterious force within Mu Lingshan, though it seemed to be suppressed by something. So, despite her words, Lin Dong somewhat believed her. This left him a little embarrassed. The world was truly full of exceptional individuals. He had thought his own training was impressive, but compared to Mu Lingshan, it seemed like he still had a long way to go. "You're from the immortal Sacred Whale clan?" Lin Dong asked, glancing at her. "Yep," Mu Lingshan nodded. "Once those guys are gone, you should head back. The seal on you can probably be easily removed by your elders, and it's pretty dangerous for you to be out here on your own," Lin Dong said with a smile. "I worked so hard to get out. There's no way I'm going back," Mu Lingshan pouted, then turned to him with puppy eyes. "Brother Lin Dong, how about I go with you instead? Don't worry, I promise I won't hold you back." Lin Dong smiled wryly. "Aren't you afraid I'll sell you off?" Mu Lingshan tilted her head, thought for a moment, then said, "I don't know why, but I just feel like you wouldn't do something like that." Lin Dong frowned slightly. Mu Lingshan's serious expression puzzled him. This blind trust she showed towards him, it had to come from somewhere. It was likely tied to something he possessed. "Let's just see how things go," Lin Dong said, shaking his head. He didn't promise anything. "We'll stay here for the next few days. Those people seem pretty unwilling to give up. I doubt they'll leave anytime soon." "All right. I'll take a nap then," Mu Lingshan replied, grinning cheekily. She plopped herself down on the coffin lid and promptly fell asleep, much to Lin Dong's exasperation. As she slept, a faint glow emanated from her body. The immortal heaven evolution technique she cultivated seemed to automatically activate while she rested, rapidly healing her internal injuries at an astonishing rate. Lin Dong shook his head and sat cross-legged in midair, eyes closed, but his mind was constantly on alert, monitoring the movements beyond the reef. He knew that if they were discovered, a brutal battle would be unavoidable today. The concealment effect of the heaven-burning cauldron was far more effective than Lin Dong had anticipated. Combined with the complex terrain of the sea, the Blood Demon Shark clan had spent 5 whole days searching the area without finding where the cauldron was hidden. Frustrated by their fruitless search, the strong figures of the Blood Demon Shark clan were forced to call it off after 5 days. They couldn't keep scouring the area indefinitely, as that would draw the attention of other forces, compromising their secrecy. So, on the 5th day, The Blood Demon Shark clan began their retreat. But Lin Dong didn't reveal himself immediately. He remained hidden for another 2 days, a wise decision. During that time, he spotted several lingering members of the clan, stealthily patrolling the waters. Clearly, they hadn't given up just yet. However, by the 7th day, the search had finally ended. Lin Dong could sense that the Blood Demon Shark clan had completely vacated the area, their presence vanishing from the waters within a 100-mile radius. SHHHD. In the quiet of the seabed, a faint sound echoed as a few stones crumbled away from a massive reef. A small, crimson cauldron, about the size of a palm, gleamed within the light. Its glow flickered before it rapidly expanded. The mouth of the cauldron tilted, and 2 figures swiftly shot out, one after the other. "It seems like we're safe now," Mu Lingshan said, her large, dark eyes scanning their surroundings. "Yeah." Lin Dong nodded as primordial energy surged around him, creating a barrier that kept the seawater at bay. He looked at the little girl with the twin pigtails and smiled. "Now that it's safe, I should get going. Lin Dong, take me with you. That old guy's seal on me won't last much longer. Once my strength returns, I'll be really powerful." Mu Lingshan quickly pleaded when she heard Lin Dong mention leaving. Lin Dong frowned slightly, hesitating. He didn't doubt Mu Lingshan's abilities, but taking her along would complicate things if the Blood Demon Shark clan found them again. "Take her with you," a voice advised. It was Yin, speaking from within Lin Dong. Making allies with the immortal Sacred Whale clan is far more advantageous than risking trouble with the Blood Demon Sharks. If that seal on her is undone, even a perfect completion of the Life Mystique stage expert wouldn't be able to deal with her. Plus, she'll be a valuable help in your search for the second ancestral talisman. Lin Dong nodded slightly, trusting Yan's judgment. Since even he recommended it, there was no reason to refuse. He looked back at Mu Lingshan and gave a small nod. Before she could celebrate, though, he added, "But, along the way, you must listen to me. No acting on your own. If you do, I'll have no choice but to leave you behind." Got it, got it." Mu Lingshan's face lit up with excitement as she nodded vigorously, like a chick pecking at grain. Lin Dong couldn't help but laugh as he reached out and tugged playfully at her twin pigtails. "All right, let's go." Without further delay, Lin Dong moved, breaking through the ocean's surface. After quickly getting his bearings, he transformed into a streak of light, shooting off toward the southwest. A blue tail of light followed closely behind him. "Lin Dong, where are we headed?" "Celestial Merchant Region." "Oh, I've heard of that place. They have lots of interesting things there. I wonder if they have the Celestial Silk Immortal Bed that I've been wanting." "Celestial Silk Immortal Bed? What's that?" "Supposedly, it's a pure primordial treasure that's incredibly comfortable. If I had it, I could sleep anytime, anywhere. That dumb wooden bed I've been using is so uncomfortable. If I'd known, I wouldn't have stolen it in the first place." With Mu Lingshan chattering beside him, Lin Dong's journey was a lot less dull. Her innocent, childlike words occasionally made him smile despite himself. As they traveled, about half a day passed when suddenly Yan's voice rang in Lin Dong's mind. "Lin Dong, be careful. I'm sensing the Blood Demon Shark clan's presence up ahead again." "What? They haven't left yet?" Lin Dong's expression changed as his body immediately came to a halt, his brow furrowing. These guys were really persistent. They've expanded their search range and split into smaller groups. "You should hide the girl first. They've already sensed you," Yin warned. "What's wrong, Lin Dong?" Mu Lingshan asked, appearing beside him with a puzzled expression. "Get back into the heaven-burning cauldron. The Blood Demon Sharks are here again." Lin Dong waved his hand, and the cauldron swiftly materialized, urging her inside. "Okay." Though reluctant, Mu Lingshan remembered her promise to follow Lin Dong's instructions. Her small figure quickly transformed into a streak of light and disappeared into the heaven-burning cauldron. With a flick of his sleeve, Lin Dong shrunk the cauldron and stored it away. His eyes narrowed as he looked toward the distant ocean surface. The faint sound of water being disturbed echoed through the air, accompanied by an ominous, murderous aura. "They're coming." Lin Dong's gaze turned cold as he sensed the approaching danger. These pursuers truly wouldn't give up. The sound of water splashing grew louder, and soon enough, a dozen blood-red figures appeared on the horizon. As they neared, Lin Dong recognized them as the same Blood Demon Shark Clan warriors he had encountered before. Leading them was none other than Commander Xia, the clan's formidable leader. "It's you?" The group of blood sharks quickly closed the distance, and Commander Xia's ruthless gaze swept over Lin Dong. He frowned, clearly surprised to see him again. "Is there something you need?" Commander Xia's gaze swept slowly over Lin Dong as he spoke. "My Blood Demon Shark Clan is conducting a search in this area. You should come down and let us inspect you." There was a hint of weariness in his eyes, likely from the toll the search had taken on him over time. Noticing Lin Dong's strength, which had only reached the minor completion of the life mystique stage, Xia's tone remained relatively civil, though not overly respectful. Lin Dong frowned slightly and replied, "Sorry, but I'm in a hurry. I don't have time for such trivial matters." "What did you just say?" Commander Xia's expression darkened. It was clear the man, used to being overbearing, hadn't expected someone of Lin Dong's modest power to refuse him so directly. "Kid, my mood's terrible right now, so don't try to act tough in front of me. Otherwise, you'll regret it," Xia threatened, his voice cold. Lin Dong's lips pressed into a thin line as he looked down at the increasingly sinister-looking Xia. The faint warmth that had previously lingered on Lin Dong's face vanished, leaving only a cold, emotionless expression. "I was being polite out of respect for your Blood Demon Shark Clan. But if you push me any further, I'll have to tell you that your strength isn't enough to run wild in the Chaos Demon Sea." Although Lin Dong didn't want a confrontation, he wasn't the type to be easily bullied. With Commander Xia pressing him so aggressively, his irritation grew. "You insolent fool." Xia's face twisted with rage. He glared at Lin Dong, murder flashing in his eyes. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, he stomped on the back of his blood shark mount, launching himself into the air, a streak of blood-red light shooting straight towards Lin Dong. "Perfect. I've been in a foul mood anyway, and now I've found the perfect punching bag." As Xia's fierce attack closed in, Lin Dong's eyes grew cold. Azure light surged from his body as 4 beams of Azure Dragon energy erupted, coiling around him. "Azure Dragon Celestial Seal." A deep voice echoed as a massive azure, dragon-shaped palm print roared forward, tearing through the air. It collided head-on with Xia's bloody charge. Boom! A violent wave of energy exploded across the sky like a hurricane, ripping a massive 100-zhang-wide scar in the sea below, though it quickly refilled with seawater. Boom! In mid-air, fierce winds whipped through the skies. Xia's charging figure suddenly froze before he was blasted backward, much to the shock of the Blood Demon Shark Clan's warriors. With a loud splash, Xia crashed into the ocean. Splash! A moment later, Xia surfaced, his appearance disheveled. He fixed a cold gaze on Lin Dong, but behind the icy look, there was a hint of caution. Lin Dong's previous strike had made him realize that this opponent wasn't as easy to handle as he had assumed. The other Blood Demon Shark warriors had by now gathered around, staring at Lin Dong with wariness in their eyes. The tension in the air was palpable, on the verge of exploding into violence. Hovering above the sea, Lin Dong faced off against more than a dozen of the Blood Demon Shark Clan's strongest fighters. The atmosphere was taut, with icy intent glinting in everyone's eyes. These Blood Demon Shark warriors were notoriously savage, and each had taken many lives. But Lin Dong was no stranger to brutality either. Not long ago, he had beaten a half-step death mystique stage warrior to a pulp. The viciousness in his bones was no less than theirs, perhaps even fiercer. The standoff between them was like a clash between two blades, sharp and deadly. "Boy, are you sure you want to make an enemy of my Blood Demon Shark Clan? Believe me, that would be a very foolish decision." Commander Xia snarled, though his tone had softened slightly. His earlier clash with Lin Dong had shown him that this opponent was far tougher than he'd first thought. "I have no intention of making enemies, but I also won't tolerate being pushed around," Lin Dong replied, his gaze locked onto Xia's. The icy gleam in his eyes had dimmed somewhat. "I've heard of your clan's reputation, and I have no interest in whatever task you're here for." But please don't interfere with my journey. I'm in a hurry as well. How about this? You go your way, I go mine. We stay out of each other's business. Sound fair? Commander Xia narrowed his eyes, his blood-red pupils glinting ominously. He stared at Lin Dong, weighing his options. After a brief pause, the killing intent around him faded slightly, and a cold smile appeared on his previously grim face. You make a good point. It seems we may have been too hasty. Lin Dong heard the words and a gentle smile appeared on his face, though a hint of wariness rose in his heart. Commander Xia's sudden change of attitude seemed a little too strange. So, can I leave now? Lin Dong asked with a smile. By all means, Commander Xia replied with a nod and a smile. With a wave of his hand, the Blood Demon Shark clan warriors around them hesitated for a moment before withdrawing their murderous intent. Thank you, Lin Dong cupped his hands in respect, then wasted no time. His figure blurred, transforming into a streak of azure light as he sped away into the distance. However, even as his back was turned to Commander Xia and his men, a cold gleam flickered in his eyes. He knew Commander Xia's quick change of face surely hid some ulterior motive. Yet at this moment, Lin Dong had no time to dwell on Commander Xia's intentions. His form shot forward, rapidly distancing himself from the area. Commander Xia, you're just letting him go like that? A member of the Blood Demon Shark clan couldn't help but ask as Lin Dong disappeared from view. Let him go? Commander Xia's face immediately darkened, a cold chill emanating from him as he sneered. That brat met us for the first time exactly 7 days ago, yet he's still lingering here. This sea region is so barren. What reason does he have to stick around for 7 days in a place where even birds don't bother to crap? You think he's just having fun? So, Commander Xia, you think? The one who rescued Mu Lingshan was most likely him. Commander Xia said darkly, his eyes narrowed. Then why let him go? Someone asked in confusion. Because I'm not confident I could keep him here, Commander Xia said indifferently, his gaze still fixed in the direction Lin Dong had disappeared. Though he seems to only be at the minor completion of the life mystique stage, his true combat strength could rival someone at the great completion. Even if I fought with all my strength, I couldn't guarantee I'd be able to stop him. So what now? Heh, escaping the grasp of the Blood Demon Shark clan in this vast sea won't be so easy. I've already used the Blood Shark tracking technique on him. He won't get away, Commander Xia said coldly. Also, send word to the other captains. Have them gather here quickly. Once they arrive, I'll have absolute confidence we can capture him. Understood. The Blood Demon Shark clan warriors nodded, then submerged themselves into the sea, where a series of sound waves spread rapidly through the water like lightning. You reckless fool, thinking you can interfere in the affairs of the Blood Demon Shark clan. Soon enough, you'll learn who you should never cross in the Chaos Demon Sea. Commander Xia muttered to himself, his eyes flashing with murderous intent as he looked in the direction Lin Dong had fled. As azure light streaked across the sky, Lin Dong's expression grew more grim rather than relaxed. Glancing back over his shoulder, he clenched his fist slightly. Did that guy really just let me go? You're being tracked, Yan's voice said coolly. What? Lin Dong was startled, his eyes scanning the surroundings, but he detected no signs of anyone or any fluctuations in energy. It's likely a unique tracking technique of the Blood Demon Shark clan. It's coming from beneath the sea, Yin warned. Lin Dong looked down, azure light flickering in his eyes as his gaze seemed to pierce the water. Beneath the sea, he spotted a faint red glow quickly following his trail. He probably realized your strength and knew he couldn't take you on alone. He's just trying to lull you into a false sense of security, waiting for backup to arrive so they can trap you, Yin explained. Lin Dong's eyes flashed coldly. He knew that aside from Commander Xia, there were at least 10 other Blood Demon Shark clan warriors at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. If they joined forces, it would certainly be a troublesome situation for him. Can I get rid of the thing tracking me? Lin Dong asked. It won't be easy. The Blood Demon Shark clan's tracking technique is quite unique, Yin replied. Lin Dong pressed his lips together, a dangerous glint flashing in his eyes. In that case, it seemed there was no other choice but to fight. Brother Lin Dong, you're being tracked. Mu Lingshan's voice suddenly rang out from the heaven-burning cauldron. Since Lin Dong hadn't blocked her perception, she could sense everything happening outside. Yeah, Lin Dong nodded. As a member of the Sea Demon clan, it wasn't surprising that Mu Lingshan could sense the Blood Demon Shark clans tracking more keenly than even Lin Dong. If you can't shake them off, you'll have to fight, Lin Dong murmured quietly. Inside the heaven-burning cauldron, Mu Lingshan fell silent for a moment, understanding that she had likely caused some trouble for Lin Dong. As soon as her voice fell, Lin Dong felt the heaven-burning cauldron in his sleeve tremble violently. A beam of black light shot out and transformed into an incredibly thick and heavy black coffin lid right before his eyes. A terrifying aura radiated from the lid. Lin Dong stared at the life and death coffin lid in front of him, momentarily stunned. He hadn't expected Mu Lingshan to trust him so deeply. If such a treasure were revealed, it would undoubtedly incite a fierce battle among countless powerful figures, all driven by greed. All right. Lin Dong didn't hesitate for long. He understood all too well that facing a great completion life mystique stage expert along with 10 minor completion ones was a headache. However, with the aid of this life and death coffin lid, it would undoubtedly make things much easier. In that case, Lin Dong placed his hand on the life and death coffin lid. As soon as his palm reached out, he could clearly sense a resistance emanating from it. But in the next instant, a mental force from the heaven-burning cauldron dispelled the resistance. It was obvious that Mu Lingshan had intervened. Lin Dong then lifted the life and death coffin lid, slinging it over his back. His grin grew wider, sinister and menacing. Since they're gathering, let's strike first. On the vast blue sea, a dozen blood demon sharks sped across the water's surface. Riding atop them were several blood demon shark clan experts, their eyes scanning the surroundings intently. Captain, we've got word. One of the clan experts suddenly pulled his hand from the water, shouting towards a man with a hooked nose at the front. What is it? The hooked-nosed man turned to look, his eyes narrowing. Commander Xia says they found the target and used the tracking technique to lock onto him. Oh, they found him, have they? Let's check his position, the hooked-nosed man said with a gleam of excitement in his eyes. One of the men quickly produced a dark red scale plate. Light flickered across it, and soon a red dot appeared, blinking rapidly. Huh. The man watching the red let out a surprised grunt. What's wrong? The hooked-nosed man frowned. The target's location seems to be very close to us. No, wait, he's heading straight for us. The Blood Demon Shark Clan expert exclaimed in shock. He's coming right at us? Heh, perfect. This is a reward delivered right to our doorstep. The hooked-nosed man grinned coldly, then raised his head to look in a particular direction. He barked, "Stay alert. Complete the mission, and you'll be handsomely rewarded." Yes, sir. At the captain's words, the surrounding Blood Demon Shark Clan members immediately responded. With a swift motion, they gripped their tridents, which gleamed coldly in the sunlight. Whoosh! Just as they were preparing for action, the sound of rushing wind echoed from the sea ahead. In an instant, a streak of azure light shot toward them, transforming into a lean figure that appeared in the sight of the Blood Demon Shark Clan. Well, it seems I've found the right place, Lin Dong chuckled as he laid eyes on the Blood Demon Shark squad. You brat, there's no escape now. Since you've come, leave your life behind. The hooked-nosed man sneered viciously at Lin Dong. A cold glint flickered in his eyes as he waved his hand. Seize him. Boom. As soon as the order was given, the dozen Blood Demon Shark Clan experts, all formidable in their own right, charged forward. Their sharp tridents, glowing with blood-red light, aimed directly for Lin Dong's vital points. I'm not here to stumble into hell. I'm here to send you all there. Lin Dong gazed calmly at the Blood Demon Shark Clan experts, who immediately unleashed deadly attacks. A gentle smile played on his face. In one swift motion, he reached behind him, gripping the massive life and death coffin lid. His figure then transformed into a streak of azure light, darting forward at an indescribable speed. Whoosh! Like a bolt of lightning, the azure light zipped through the midst of the Blood Demon Shark Clan members. In that split second, a muffled sound reverberated through the air. Lin Dong's figure reappeared behind the dozen Blood Demon Shark Clan experts. Without even glancing back, he calmly began walking toward the hooked-nosed man. As his footsteps echoed for the 10th time, the bodies of the Blood Demon Shark experts behind him suddenly began to wither and turn ashen gray at a terrifying speed. In that instant, all signs of life were snuffed out. Thud. Their lifeless bodies fell from the air, splashing into the sea. Their faces still bore the same vicious expressions they'd worn moments before death. Who are you? The man with the hooked nose trembled, his pupils constricting in fear as the terrifying scene unfolded before him. It dawned on him that this seemingly easy prey was no mere sitting duck. It was a killing god in disguise. Sorry, but you did try to kill me first? Lin Dong smiled faintly, his hand gripping the life and death coffin lid. As he gently raised it, a faint black light began to ripple across the pitch-black surface. Boom. The hooked-nosed man's expression twisted in panic. Stamping his foot on the back of the Blood Demon Shark, it let out a ferocious roar and leapt toward Lin Dong, its gaping maw aimed to tear him apart. Meanwhile, the man launched himself off the shark, trying to escape into the sea. This guy is too strong. I can't take him alone. I'll have to regroup with the others. As he neared the water's surface, a mix of bitterness and malice flashed in his eyes. But it's not a good look to leave your comrades behind, is it? A mocking voice suddenly echoed in his ear just as the malice surfaced. His pupils contracted in shock, and when he looked up, he saw the black coffin lid hurtling down with the force of death itself. Boom. The man released his primordial energy in a desperate surge, but the black coffin lid paid no heed. It descended unrelentingly. Thud. A deep, resounding thud echoed as the lid slammed into his body. The ocean erupted, sending a towering column of water 100 feet into the air. In that moment, a wave of death swept into the hooked-nosed man's body, as unstoppable as a flood. Splurt. A mouthful of black blood spurted from his lips. His face filled with horror, and darkness quickly consumed his vision. The wave of death severed his life force with terrifying speed, rendering all his attempts to heal futile. The life and death coffin lid. How is it in his hands? As his life faded away, that was the last thought that flickered through his mind. Hovering in midair, Lin Dong glanced dispassionately at the now lifeless body. He then looked down at the coffin lid in his hand, a hint of admiration flashing in his eyes. The power of the life and death coffin lid was formidable. Perhaps only after crafting the heaven-burning cauldron's heaven-scorching gate could he match it. Yin, where's the next Blood Demon Shark Clan squad? Lin Dong asked quietly. Northwest, a voice responded in his mind. Lin Dong nodded, not wasting any words. His figure blurred into a streak of azure light as he shot off. Since Commander Xia was rallying his forces to take him down, Lin Dong decided to preemptively eliminate all his minions. Half an hour later, in the northwestern sea, Lin Dong looked down at another snarling squad of Blood Demon Shark Clan members. He smiled slightly and, without a word, dove down with the life and death coffin lid in hand. Minutes later, a dozen dark gray corpses floated lifelessly on the surface. Boom. The coffin lid, pulsing with eerie energy, struck a Blood Demon Shark Clan captain at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. The sheer force sent the figure crashing into the sea. When he resurfaced, he was already lifeless. That's the fourth life mystique stage captain, Lin Dong murmured, glancing at the corpse. He gave a cold smile and vanished once again. An unrelenting massacre was quietly unfolding across the sea. Everywhere the azure figure passed, members of the Blood Demon Shark Clan were stripped of life. Not a single one could escape from the slender, deadly silhouette that seemed like a god of death. It was a one-sided slaughter. Damn that human scum. Somewhere in the vast sea, Commander Xia looked down at the floating bodies, his face ashen with rage. He could no longer contain his fury, raising his head to let out a venomous roar. Commander Xia, 6 of our captains at the minor completion of the life mystique stage have already been killed by that man, and their squads wiped out. reported a nearby captain who had managed to regroup with Xia. His face was pale, knowing full well that if he hadn't been close enough to reach the commander, he would have been next on that death god's list. It's 7 now. Commander Xia's voice was hoarse, his gaze dark and terrifying. Another one? The captain's face paled even further. He glanced nervously at the 2 other captains beside him, his mouth dry. Commander Xia, what should we do? Another captain asked, his voice trembling with fear. Maybe we should temporarily retreat and call for reinforcements from the clan, one of them suggested cautiously. Bang! Before he could finish his sentence, Commander Xia, his expression twisted with rage, delivered a vicious punch to the man's head, sending him flying over 100 meters. The brat stopped moving. Follow me. I'll crush that little wretch's skull with my own hands. Anyone who dares mention retreat again, I'll cripple them myself. Commander Xia's face was filled with murderous intent. Hearing his violent threat, the other Blood Demon Shark clan members nodded repeatedly, not daring to utter another word. Bastard, once you're in my hands, I'll make sure you wish for death, but be unable to die. With a wave of his hand, Commander Xia spurred his blood shark forward, and behind him, dozens of Blood Demon Shark clan elites followed closely. Their pursuit only lasted for a dozen minutes before they gradually came to a stop. One by one, their gazes lifted toward the sea ahead. There, a slender young man stood, carrying a massive black coffin lid on his back, smiling at them with a carefree expression.